Memory, it's a very funny thing. Just a couple days back, I was walking down the street thinking about my journey with English, just speaking, comprehension, and IELTS itself, and how it's been. I tried learning a lot of things in the beginning and they didn't quite stick, and I couldn't recall a lot of things. And that's just what it is, right? We need to learn that fast and retain that. And you know what? It gave me an idea, like maybe why don't I share this information with someone who is just starting out and this could help them out as well. So in process of that, I read at least about 10 books on this, and I'm going to give you just the tip of the iceberg on how to kind of go about learning things and never forgetting them as, quickly as we usually do. At least with me, what happened at the beginning was when I was preparing for IELTS, every time I would think about IELTS, my palms would get sweaty. There would be a lot of nervousness, and whatever I would be preparing for, it didn't really work out as well as I thought it would. And, I believe that might be the case with a lot of others as well, because there's so much pressure to kind of get things done sooner, right? But here's the thing. You got to keep this in mind. It's not about working hard, but it's about working smarter. And it's not about how many hours you put into learning something, but it's more about what you put into those hours when you're learning, right? That's what it is. It's not so much about the quantity, but it's also about the quality. And the interesting thing that I learned is that for basically anything, if you want to be an expert with anything, you need to spend about 10,000 hours doing it perfectly. And after you've done that, you become an expert in that field. Could be anything, could be photography, could be, say mathematics, could be being a teacher. I don't know, whatever, really. Anything. It will take you at least 10,000 hours to kind of become an expert level at that. But let's do the math real quick. 10,000 hours roughly translate to about 4.5 years if you practice about 5 to 6 hours a day and you do that practice really well. And for someone who's learning, like preparing for IELTS, do you think they have 4.5 hours? 4.5 years? I doubt it. I don't think they do, right? And you know that. And this is where the idea of, embracing sufficiency is all about. So instead of focusing on 10,000 hours to become an expert, focus on 20 hours to learn a little bit of a sub-skill to be good enough. See, the technique that I'm going to tell you or the principles that I will share with you, it's not about you going and earning a gold medal. It's more so about you being good enough to get the job done and then move on with other things in your life. And that's just what it is. So there's 4 things that you got to keep in mind is first of all, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. You need to have a good idea of that. And after that, of course, you got to learn the fundamentals of those. So once you've done that, you start practicing intelligently and with a routine. That is, really important. Before we get started, I want you to keep something in mind. It's the mindset that you must have. If you think, oh, you know what? I don't think I can learn English. I don't think I'll improve as much. You've lost the battle. And, it's just about with anything, really. If you say that you will not win, you've taken the chances away from yourself to actually be better and win. But if you think you have the growth mindset, you think, I'll put in the hours, I'm going to practice, and I'll get better with time. And, that positivity, that'll help you. That's at least, half a mile in the right direction that you're going. So keep that in mind, right? And the first thing first that you got to remember is love the process of whatever it is you're doing. For example, for me, when I started out practicing for IELTS, I would wake up at about 5 in the morning. I had moved my desk close to a window, so every morning I would look at the sunrise and I would be practicing. The sunlight is coming in, get myself a cup of coffee, and it helped me create an environment where I would actually enjoy doing that. And it helped. It really helped me to get up every morning and experience that positive energy and, just enjoying that environment. So try doing that, love the process. That's essential. If you don't, if you're if you're hating it, won't go too far. Now, second thing that comes on to this is that you need to focus your energy on one skill at a time. If you're doing too many things at the same time, you're just jumping across and it's not productive and it's not very effective either. It's you need to see where you need to focus. For me, for example, I was struggling with reading, and that's what I did. I focused on reading IELTS quite a bit, and that helped me improve my scores, and that is something you might want to keep in your mind as well. Now next, define your target performance level, and this is important. If you don't know where you want to be or where you have to be, like, doesn't matter how much practice you keep doing, you don't know when you'll get there, right? That's the thing. So set a limit. For me, I was like, okay, I'll be happy if I get, like, 7 in IELTS reading. Okay, that was my target. So I was aiming for 8.5, 9. And when I eventually gave the exam, I got 8.5. So that's the thing. You gotta aim above what you want and start practicing for that. And after that, you also need to, like, remove the pressure, like, just stay calm, and then practice, with that. Fourth thing that you gotta keep in mind is deconstruct all the different sub skills that you need to learn. And this is what I mean by knowing what you're getting into. Now, for example, for IELTS reading, there's like 8 skills that you kind of like, you need to know. You must learn those to actually, perform good. And that is important. So it'll help you, like, how you can actually, it'll help you plan out what you need to learn. And that is essential, with the planning bit. Fifth thing you gotta know is you need to have the right tools to do the job. So for example, for IELTS, I would say you need the Cambridge books, you need the grammar workbooks, you need a dictionary, you need the reading passages, and of course the vocabulary workbooks as well. It's pretty like holistic, all those things that you might need. For example, if it's something else, for example, if it's photography, you need at least a camera, right? So you can start practicing. So it's kind of like that. You need to have your tools to kind of do the job. And now that you have the tools, you need to eliminate the barriers to practice. And this is what I mean. For example, sometimes you could lose your books. Don't let that happen. Okay? Sometimes you borrow things from others and they need them back, so you can't practice. Sometimes it's your family, friends, and just people. They might be saying, hey, let's go do this. And you have to instead practice, and you don't do the practice and you leave with them. That is not practicing either. So avoid that. The timetable that you've made for yourself, stick with it. Doesn't matter what happens, you gotta do it, right? And number 7, what you gotta keep in mind is, like, make dedicated time for practice. So if you say, I will study from 5 to 7, you will study 5 to 7, because that is a promise you've made to yourself. And if you don't do it, if you don't stick to the routine and you don't commit to those 20 hours, per week, per skill, you're just lying to yourself. I mean, it's only going to get as sweet as much honey you put into it. That's just the basic saying, right? So stick to that. And number 8, and this is something that really helped me, is getting feedback. So, maybe your friends, or maybe you have a teacher who can help you out with this. Get feedback on your progress and keep tracking it, like how well you're doing or you're not. That'll really help you out, because you gotta know what your progress is like so that you can change things in your life, right? And that helps us out. Now, finally, number 9, it's practicing in short bursts. And this is something that you could help you out, is like maybe use a timer and stick to about 20 minutes slot at a time. So practice for 20 minutes, give yourself 5 minutes off, and then work again for 20 minutes. But keep in mind, when the timer goes, you gotta just spend studying those 20 minutes, nothing else. No dilly-dallying around, stick to what you've done, okay? So that is important. And finally, the 10th one, you gotta emphasize on quantity and speed. Because if you start thinking that I have to be perfect, it'll hinder your progress quite a lot, okay? And that is going to pull you back, so don't do that. The idea is that practice enough, and it should be just good enough to kind of get the ball rolling, so that you can learn about the new ideas, new concepts, and you can implement those in your life. And that's it. Those are the 10 things you gotta keep in mind when it comes to learning anything, really. It could be anything in life. You stick to these 10 principles, I can promise you'll make a lot of improvement, and believe me, you'll never forget those skills that you've learned. And that's just what it is, right? So hey, I hope this helps you. I hope this video brings you some value. And if your friends are struggling with something, share this with them. They might find this information useful. And of course, hey, subscribe. We'll be putting out more information that you might find useful. Well, good luck with your exams. I'll see you in the next video.